Welcome back, guys. So today I want to talk about something I haven't seen too many people bring up or mention. That's the Warrior 64 console from Intec Gaming. Currently live on Kickstarter, this is an HDMI Nintendo 64 that they're offering in a couple different ways. Not just the colors back there, but they're offering it as a DIY kit and a fully assembled package. So I find some things interesting here, and I wanted to pick it apart, take a look at this, discuss it with you guys. Now, originally, I was going to hold off on making my video on this. I've been aware of this for quite some time now. But initially, Intec Gaming, whom I have worked with in the past doing reviews of their products, I think they do some okay stuff out there. They did reach out to me and say they were going to send me one of these as a review sample to share with you guys, give my honest opinions and thoughts. Now, I've lost contact with them. They haven't responded to me in quite some time. So I don't know if that's still going to happen. Hopefully, I do get one in my hand so I could share my thoughts with you guys. But I figured, screw it. We're just going to take a look at this now. Hopefully, in the future, we can get a little bit more in depth, right? But currently, this Kickstarter, there's some weirdness here as well. But they're at $22,000, goal of about 30,000, 163 backers. The one thing to note here, even though this company says they are U.S. based, founded in the USA anyway. Let me see. Richard Yat Kyung Wong. You could simply regard us as gamer nerds. Founded in the U.S. Maybe they're not in the U.S. anymore. They were just founded there. If you pledge for an reward here, it's in Hong Kong dollars. And I know some people may not like that, but it's clearly marked. It tells you that's what it is. I don't know how that's going to work out for you as far as conversion goes in the end when they finally charge you, or international transaction fees, that kind of thing. So there's a lot to keep in mind with that. Not a huge deal in my opinion, but just wanted to point that out. It is in Hong Kong dollars. That's, the way it's going to work, even though it's in US when you're on here, if you're in the US anyway. So I watched this video that they presented here. And this guy, he starts off with, hey, there's this problem that our engineers had figured out how to resolve. And I was like, what is he talking about? He didn't explain what the problem was initially. And he shows the Warrior 64. Now, I know this is going to be a subjective thing. I don't mind the way it looks. Most of my retro consoles are a shell of their former selves. They don't really look the way they originally did anymore. I'm not against, reshelling a console into something new if you want, you know what I mean? As long as the system still works. So he does eventually explain, playing the N64 on a modern TV is what the problem was that they were trying to find an answer to. And that's where the Warrior 64 came about. So he does demonstrate a little bit here. And it's really difficult, especially with Nintendo 64, to gauge the way it looks in a video, especially shot like that. Because there's so many mods out there. This is not groundbreaking stuff, but it is interesting, especially for the price that they're charging. You have tons of mods out there. Some are near impossible to get, Ultra HDMI. There's other things out there, advanced RGB, other RGB mods, adapters you can get, different ways to hook up your Nintendo 64 to a modern television. And just to be honest with you, yeah, a lot of those options are pretty nice. They do definitely improve what you're seeing on the screen as far as things being sharper, as far as the pixels and whatnot. But it's not really going to make the magic happen. Your Nintendo 64 games are not going to look like you're playing on a crispy emulator or anything like that. So you got to keep your expectations in check. But these guys, they make some bold claims here in some of their videos. So I wanted to kind of discuss some of that. So they talk about their prototyping and whatnot, how they eventually came to a solution with an HDMI port in the back, because a lot of people want HDMI. Now, their solution here is like a breakout board that you solder part of it on, unless you get the pre-built one, right? And it doesn't look like it's a crazy job to do. Definitely something a novice, person could probably get done if you have, some experience soldering anyway. So they also have this little video here with the design, I guess, of this thing. Here you go, green and black. And I checked their website. They had like a poll here for different colors, and I actually find the black and green to be a little bland in my opinion. I really would have voted for one of these two up here. I kind of wish they would have just done all of them, but you know what? It is what it is. Color is going to be subjective anyway. Now they show everything kind of blown out, the whole kit here, and this confused me a little bit because, like with a lot of Kickstarters, it's not very comprehensive with all the information. There's still going to be some confusion for some people here. They show everything blown out and their controller that looks surprisingly similar to the Retrobit Tribute 64, which is a tribute to the Hori mini pad. Now, I can't say for sure. The design, obviously, that, Retrobit went off of was Hori's design. They kind of tweaked it, made it their own in a sense. I can't say for sure what this is until I have it in my hands and could compare it to a Hori mini pad and a Tribute 64. So it could just be coincidence they wanted to go with that design, or they could have just completely took the same thing and just produced their own shells from Retrobit's molds. I don't know. But looking at this picture, it kind of confuses a little bit. Like, why is the controller blown apart? Do you have to put the controller together yourself too? I wouldn't think so, but I think maybe they're just trying to show you the components that are involved there. But this is essentially just the shell of the kit if you're going to do the mod yourself for the Nintendo 64. So what else do they got here? We have two versions, green and black. Just pledge $150 and you get this whole kit here. Well, not a kit. It's supposed to be the console. So I was a little confused because there's nothing here. Maybe they're trying to skirt some legal stuff going on and not say, hey, this is a Nintendo 64 console, because really it's just the kit stuff that's kind of clear to me. I would assume, my full assumption is this is a full-on board that they sourced, put it together for you so you don't have to worry about it. And I find that kind of odd because I haven't seen too many Kickstarters that do something like that where they include a retro console original board with whatever they're selling. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen anything like that. I'm sure somebody will say, well, this company did it. Okay. But, Intec Gaming, they've been around for a little while, and sometimes I do find it kind of odd when companies go to Kickstarter with things, but I guess if they're sourcing boards, like companies who pre-exist and people are aware of, but I guess to source boards and gauge interest, this is the way they wanted to go about doing it. So that's fine, I guess. $150 doesn't sound like a lot of money, in my opinion, for HDMI. But how is that HDMI going to work? I think they're just tapping into the RGB, and it's going to be a basic RGB mod. Looking at the video, we'll take a look at that in a moment, where they do the tutorial. It still leaves a little bit of questions because they didn't really do a tutorial on assembly, because they didn't solder anything. They just held pieces in place. So I don't know. But when we get down here, this is where I find things interesting. They do have the dimensions, the specs, and whatnot. Take a look at that if you want. But down here, they're comparing themselves to the Ultra HDMI. This is some bold shit right here, man. Ultra HDMI is like top of the line stuff. Like I said, doesn't necessarily mean that, makes the magic happen with everything. Doesn't fix all the problems with the Nintendo 64, but the Ultra HDMI does a fabulous job. Plus other mods out there. I think RGB looks wonderful going through like a RetroTink or, an OSSC for the Nintendo 64. But here they're showing like Kirby and a few other games. Ultra HDMI on the left and then the Warrior 64 on the right. Are they trying to say that the Warrior 64 looks better? I see the contrast is kind of higher. The reds are darker, that kind of thing. I can't fully say for sure that they actually compared to an Ultra HDMI. I have an Ultra HDMI, and I think it looks fine. But what I'm seeing them showing doesn't look bad. It just seems like the contrast is higher. And things, there's not the same sharpness if you're looking at like the textures here. Or, it's kind of smoothed out, but not necessarily in a bad way. I don't know. This may be a subjective thing as well. Which side you think looks better? But why would they show this demonstration if they didn't think theirs looks better, right? I don't think it looks bad. I wouldn't mind using a Nintendo 64 like this. A little darker, yes, but there's a lot of things you can tweak with the Ultra HDMI. This doesn't seem to have any kind of like UI where you can modify things. Doesn't look like they're doing that. Now they're comparing AV to the HDMI signal here. Like I said, it's nothing ever seems drastic, but you do see the AV is definitely blurrier than the HDMI signal. What is this that they're comparing here? Original AV to the HDMI. Probably the same thing. AV, HDMI, AV, HDMI. Interesting stuff they're showing here. A lot of love out there for the Nintendo 64. I like the Nintendo 64. Not my favorite system of all time, but there's a lot of games on it that I like, mainly first-party titles and rare titles, but definitely I see there being more interest in this than what they have garnered so far. Hopefully this will be something they just put out in the market, sell on Amazon and whatnot. But here you go, a little insert action. You still have the top to put your expansion pack in there and whatnot. I do like how it's got this little like, bitch, player 1, 2, player 3, 4. Okay. RGB 4.3 to 16.9. So is that like a switch? Or are they just saying it supports both? Because if it just defaults to whatever, only your TV, if your TV supports shrinking it down to 4.3, will that work? So I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of information that's not really here. With this kit, if you get the kit, you get the shell and the board. You just need to take out Nintendo 64 motherboard, solder some wires, install the HD video control board, put them together in the new shell. So here you go. And that's $95 and you get this stuff here. What is this? They give you a RAM expansion? See, that's what I mean. Like what it's kind of, or is that just the shell for you to reshell your own? I don't know with that, but the way this board looks like it goes in doesn't look crazy. There's a few parts here, but it's not nuts of an installation. When you look at their installation guide, it's not the best instructional guide out there. They get the point across, I guess, showing you what to remove and where to put everything, but they don't show soldering anything. They kind of try to stop motion the board onto the screen. Okay, got to be cute, right? And the way this is going, it looks like the installation, there's like a board that goes into the top, which is where you would do some soldering for like an RGB mod. So I'm really curious how this is actually going to look once it gets in the people's hands, if it gets in the people's hands, right? So there's that video. I mean, like I said, they don't really solder anything. They just hold things in place, which I wish they would have actually went through the whole process and then showed it working and whatnot. But yeah, there's that. The mini Nintendo 64 pad. I said we got to wait and see on that one. I don't know. Like, I don't think this is a bad price if you get this console, but where are they sourcing these systems from? You know, $25 for a controller. I wouldn't even bother with that. You know, give me the early bird special, which it just says on there. If you go, it says you get an extra controller if you do the $150. Let me see, where's that at? So the kit, $95, you get the kit. Early bird, you'll get one extra controller. Oh, you get an extra controller no matter which way you go if you do the early bird pledge. So here's the, I hate how that highlights. The console package, W64 console, one gamepad, pledge $150 now, and you get an extra gamepad for free. Shipping estimated November, anywhere in the world. I don't know what the shipping prices are because when you check out, it doesn't show any shipping. Oh, here we go. We are shipping directly from manufacturer. The shipping costs are based on weight, so they'll charge you shipping later, or they'll add that at the end, right? So that's pretty much it. I mean, they've talked about how they started this project last year. It's been a little while since they mentioned it to me, and like I said, I lost contact with them. So hopefully, you know, I still can get my hands on one to share with you guys. But I found this interesting. You know, I'm always kind of skeptical with you know, crowdfunding for stuff like this. I really don't put my money into too many companies out there. This one I'm heavily considering just because of the interest. And $150 can be a lot of money to some people. For me, I'm just thinking, you know what, to share with you guys, it might be worth it. You know what I mean? Because I do foresee them selling this on the market, places like Amazon and whatnot in the future, at least the kits anyway, maybe not the full-on package, right? So let me know what you guys think down below. Definitely some concerns. Looks like it may just be RGB they're tapping into and converting it to HDMI. So we'll have to see how that works with latency and things like that, actually getting some first-hand experience. But thank you. Let me know what you think, and I will catch y'all next time. Peace out, bye-bye, and boom. Bye.